Here because tomorrow, God willing, is a very important day in the lives of our children. It's the International Children's Book Day, and I've got guests for us to celebrate our kids tomorrow, but we're doing it today. There's a reason why we are doing this, and that's to bring about the idea of how important reading is and why we should inculcate the culture of reading in our children. And so I have Kezia Agbenyega with me, who is a publisher and author, relations manager, World Reader, West Africa. Oswald Okaite, who is executive director, Ghana Reads Initiative and poet. And so do I have in the studio with me Sandra Oyeboah, who is editor, Adwensa Publications Limited. And I also have some beautiful kids in the studio with me. And I pay one more and then we back in kind and Oma Kakra our studio Hanum say. And we'll be reading a very, very fantastic book. The artwork alone takes you way back into the days of Kwakwanansi stories. And I remember when we were kids, Cricketer Soldier. I remember those days. Anyway, so Sandra, you're welcome. Oswald, you're welcome. Kezia, you're welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
And how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Right. You can't complain. There's nothing to complain when the kids are around. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so it's good to have you in the studio. And today we have our kids with us. But in welcoming you, I'll just take a word from all of you as to the celebration that would happen tomorrow. Its relevance and how important it is. And then we may begin with you coordinating for us this morning to read the book we have today. So let me start with you, Kezia. While we are here, the essence of book reading, few words.
Well, I think book reading is very important for children. Research has shown that when children pick up reading habits from a very young age, they grow with it and it becomes a part of their lifestyle. Our system, our educational system in Ghana has largely become examination oriented and pleasure reading has been put aside. But pleasure reading is very important because it doesn't teach the children just what they need to know in school. It gives them other skills or other forms of knowledge that they may otherwise not learn in school. So I think celebrating this day is very important, one, for the kids to know that, okay, so this is something that is celebrating books for us, so we are supposed to take reading seriously. And then again, it's for us, the adults, to know that our children reading is very important and we have to make sure that they are able to pick up these reading habits at a very young age so that they can grow with it. Yeah.
Oswald?
Well, for me, coming from Ghana Reads perspective, Ghana Reads Initiative perspective, I feel once we make children understand the reason why they need to read, it gives them the ability to be independent, to be analytical, and then of course we have a very good means to communicate whatever we want to communicate to them. So it must not always be about this conscious effort of trying to make them understand, because once they begin to understand the power of reading, and then they become avid readers, of course, then it becomes a reason for us to channel most of the socialization process through all of that. And then again, it helps to boost our literary industry. You get me? And so the children will have to know that, of course, if I'm reading a book, it's just like watching a movie. So the movie without adverts continuously and almost all of that. And it helps to even shape them, to stay them away from social vices, almost all of that. So I think first and foremost, it helps them to be independent. They know they have to follow books to get knowledge, so that they know that the teachers who teach them are not magicians from the skies, but they have to read to get that knowledge. And then makes them become analytical, to how to analyze. Because once you read, you analyze the story, you try to bring it to reality. And so of course, so these are two main things I look at.
All right. Sandra?
Okay, Kezia has already spoken about how the role that it plays, pleasure reading plays in helping them in their education. So what I'm going to add is the social advantages of that. So if we encourage pleasure reading, what it's going to do for the children is that it's going to build their communication skills, and in that they are able to express their ideas and build their confidence in society. So wherever they find themselves, they are able to effectively express themselves, and the ideas don't just end up just like ideas. It's able to come up, they're able to express it in writing and in other forms. So pleasure reading will not only enhance their performance in the class in the long run, but it's also going to enhance their confidence in society. And I'm not just going to end there. You know, organizing programs that cannot be sustained is where the challenge is. So I'm going to encourage us all. I'm happy that some of their teachers are here, so they'll take home with them. And for everybody who is watching us right now, what I can add is that organizing programs occasionally doesn't really help, but sustaining the programs is what helps, because in order to build a habit, it has to be a repeated pattern. So yes, that's what I have to say. So we should encourage it. Parents, teachers should encourage it. And those people who are engaged in promoting reading programs or organizing reading programs should try as much as possible to make it as frequent as possible. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the few words you've given us this morning, but I also would add that culturally it helps. Because I don't remember the last time I saw a book with this, for want of a better word, village setup, where you find the animal having a conversation with a man. We used to have that with Nana Ampadu when he sings about, you know, animals and man, and, you know, creates that symbolization with, you know, values and principles from our cultural orientation in there. And so it's brought me back, you know, fond memories of the days when we used to read lots of Kokwanas. I don't know whether there are Kokwanas stories out there or there are even videos, or it's just recently, last 2 weeks, I spoke to a professor from the University of Ghana, and they have, you know, plays that they do, and it all has to do with Kokwanas and the rest of them. But I'm happy that you've taken the bold initiative and that you are championing the cause when it comes to book reading in the society. The rest of the task I'll leave to the three of you. As to how we are going to approach the book reading this morning, I'll leave the three of you. Along the way, I'm sure you give me a page to also read, because I don't remember the last time I also read in class. So at this point, I'll hand over the, how do I even put it, the control to the three of you so that we can begin the reading exercise this morning. But when it becomes necessary for me to also read any page at all, then you prompt me and I'll join. But I believe it would most be appropriate if we get a kids to also introduce themselves, the school they are coming from and all.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, so you can introduce yourselves there. Your name and the school.
Queen Star Judy.
Raise your voice for me, all right?
Queen Star Judy Nagatlips from Hampstead Academy.
All right, that's fine.
Cornelius Bentum from Hampstead Academy.
Okay, please speak into the microphone for me, all right?
Cornelius Bentum from Hampstead Academy.
All right.
Benedict Copson from Hampstead.
Benedict, I want to hear you again.
Benedict Copson from Hampstead Academy.
Okay.
Rebecca Abbey from Hampstead Academy.
Christabel Yani from Hampstead Academy.
Benjamin Lai from Glorious Prince Academy.
Samuel Ponsa from Glorious Prince Academy.
Berikote from Glorious Prince Academy.
All right, so at least they've done some introduction for us. And so over to you, Joe Latte.
Okay, so I'm here with Kezia, who's from World Reader. I'm sure maybe by the time we close, she'll be able to shed some light on World Reader, what they do. Because in times like this where we're struggling to get books, World Reader itself becomes a library on phones in the digital space. And I'm here with the editor from Abjinsa. Abjinsa specializes in children's book. So around this celebration, I think it's one of the major stakeholders we have to bring on board. And so this book, which is titled The Four and the Magic Calabash, published by Abjinsa Publications Ghana Limited, is what we have chosen for this morning. And unfortunately, we are not going to finish reading everything. We want people to go and get the books and read.
Okay.
And so I read and I hand over the microphone to my colleagues. And at a point in time, we get some from the children to also join us read. So I start. A Four and a Magic Calabash. Efua was a very beautiful girl.
Author.
That is Patience O. Vomawo.
Okay,
I
because
thought I mentioned
I remember those days. That was what they asked of us.
No, it's very, very
You should know
critical.
the author, you should know the publisher, and yeah.
Very, very important. I think I missed that one. Mention the title, the publisher, the author. Auntie Patience, forgive us.
Mm.
Efua and the Magic Calabash. Efua was a very beautiful girl. She was, however, an orphan because both her father and mother were dead. Her father died when she was a baby and she was cared for by her mother. When Efua was 2 years old, her mother also died. Efua was sent to her aunt who offered to care for her. The name of Efua's aunt was Mamiya, who lived in a cottage with only few huts and few people. Mamiya had never had any child to live with her in the house. Mamiya was very wicked and never treated Efua kindly. She often beat Efua and sometimes refused to give her food to eat.
Efua was a very hard-working girl, but Mamiya was a very lazy woman. At dawn, before the cock crowed, Mamiya woke Efua up from sleep and gave her a broom to sweep the big compound alone. After this, she swept the kitchen and the bedrooms. She carried the rubbish to the rubbish dump, threw it away, and hurriedly got home to clean the plates, bowls, dishes, and the ladles. When Efua finished this work, Mamiya gave her a big pot to fetch water from the riverside and filled the bigger pots in the house with water. Anytime she returned late from the riverside, Mamiya would take a big cane and beat her until she had swellings all over her body.
After Efua had finished doing her morning chores, Mamiya gave her a little gari and pepper. Efua ate this for her breakfast as well as for her lunch and supper. While Efua ate breakfast and hot pepper, Mamiya ate banku and okra stew or beans and fried ripe plantain or fufu and palm nut soup. On Saturdays, Mamiya gave a cutlass and a rope to Efua to go to the forest alone to fetch firewood home. The forest was a long way from the house and it was also full of strange and dangerous insects, snakes, birds, and other animals. Even though Efua was afraid, she had to go and return early enough so that Mamiya would not beat her. On Saturday morning, after Efua had finished doing her household chores, she collected the cutlass, rope, and her usual food, gari and hot pepper, and left for the forest. She also took along a bottle of water because there was no water in that part of the forest.
When Efua reached the forest, she cleared a small area under the shade of a big tree and put her food there. She covered it with a cloth and started cutting the firewood nearby. As Efua cut the firewood, the cutlass produced a beautiful song which rang through the forest. Kong, kong, kong. Efua enjoyed this music so much that she did not fear anything while in the forest alone. Anytime she stopped cutting the firewood, the forest became quiet. She could hear only the birds singing. When she started to cut the firewood again, the beautiful song of the cutlass echoed through the forest. Kong, kong, kong. Can we have Queen Star?
That day, Efua worked so hard that she gathered a lot of firewood. She became tired, hungry, and thirsty. She decided to eat, drink, and have some rest before going home. She therefore went under the tree, removed the cloth from the food, spread it on the ground, and sat down on it. She took the food and was about to eat when she saw something huge standing before her. It was a tortoise. Efua was so frightened that she could not speak. She fixed her gaze on the tortoise as she sat shivering with fright. But the tortoise smiled and said to her, "My daughter, don't be afraid, for I will not hurt or harm you in any way. What do you have in the bowl and in the bottle?"
Okay, thank you. Can we have someone from Glorious Springs?
Efua became relieved and answered the tortoise, "I have gari and hot pepper in the bowl and water in the bottle." The tortoise said to her, I am a mother tortoise. I am very hungry and thirsty, so kindly give me a bite of your food and some water to drink. Efua said to Mother Tortoise, the food will not be enough for both of us, but I shall give you because you are very hungry. You can also have the water. Mother Tortoise got the food and ate all and drank all the water too. Then she said to Efua, thank you, my daughter. You have saved my life today. Come, follow me to my house.
Thank you. So,
Efua wondered why Mother Tortoise had invited her, but she followed Mother Tortoise to her house in the forest. When they reached the hut, Mother Tortoise gave Efua a stool to sit on. She brought out a very beautiful calabash from under her bed and spoke to it softly. Pretty calabash, give me water to drink. Immediately, the calabash was filled with water to the brim. Mother Tortoise gave the water to Efua to drink. After Efua had finished drinking the water, she said to Mother Tortoise, Mother Tortoise, I must hurry home because I am very hungry. But Mother Tortoise told her not to worry herself about food. She took the calabash and said to it, Pretty calabash, give me some food to eat. Immediately, to the surprise of Efua, the calabash again was filled with rice, stew, meat, and fried eggs. Mother Tortoise gave them to Efua. Efua became very happy and ate till she could eat no more. She had never eaten anything so delicious in her life. She thanked Mother Tortoise and asked permission to go home. Mother Tortoise gave the calabash to Efua and said, My daughter, get this calabash and take it home. It is your reward for saving my life. If ever you need anything, ask the calabash for it and you will surely get it. But take care it doesn't break. Take care so it doesn't break.
Efua was very happy when she received the calabash. That was the happiest day in her life. She thanked Mother Tortoise and said goodbye to her and left the hut. She put the calabash on her back and carried it like a baby. She sang, clapped her hands and danced all the way back to where the firewood was. She picked the bundle of firewood up and carried it home. She hid the calabash under her bed so that Mameya would not see it. When Mameya returned to the house later and saw Efua, she became very angry because Efua stayed so long in the forest. She had waited for Efua for the whole day to come and cook for her. She asked Efua angrily, Efua, why were you so late in coming home today? The timid Efua replied, Today, I had to go to further into the forest before I could get enough firewood to bring home. Mameya became more angry with her. She took a big cane and beat her until she had swellings all over her body. She told Efua to go to bed without giving Efua anything to eat. When Efua entered her bedroom, she waited until Mameya fell asleep. She brought out the calabash from under her bed and spoke to it softly. Pretty calabash, give me something to eat.
At once, the calabash was filled with fufu, soup, meat, and fish. She ate and ate till she could not eat anymore. Again, she spoke to the calabash softly. Pretty calabash, give me some water to drink. This time, the calabash was filled with cool water. Efua drank it and put the calabash back under the bed and went to bed. The next day, before the cock crowed, Mameya woke up Efua from sleep and told her to do all the housework before daybreak. Mameya went back to sleep. As soon as Efua heard Mameya snoring, she went for the calabash from under her bed and spoke to it softly. Pretty calabash, sweep this compound for me. Within a short time, the whole compound, the kitchen, and all the rooms had been swept clean. Again, Efua spoke to the calabash softly. Pretty calabash, fill this pot with water for me. In no time at all, the pots, the empty water tanks, and all the water containers in the house were filled with water. Efua again spoke to the calabash softly. Pretty calabash, wash these plates, bowls, and dishes for me. Before she finished speaking, every utensil in the kitchen was clean, even the mortar, pestle, and the wooden ladles.
were looking nicer than the new ones sold on the market. When Mamiya woke up, she began to inspect everything in the house. Then she said, "Hey, today the house and the whole compound is very neat. Oh. All the cobwebs in the corners of the rooms and those hanging in the ceilings are all gone." She went to the kitchen and saw the plates and bowls and said, "Look at the plates, bowls, ladles, mortar, and pestles. They are shining like the stars in the sky." She went to the water pots and saw that they were all filled with water. She told Efua, "Today the water is clean and cold. You have worked very hard. This is how I want you to work every day."
Mamiya drank some of the water and realized it was better than what she had been drinking in the past. After the inspection, she called Efua and gave her some little gari and hot pepper for breakfast. Efua collected the food but did not eat it. When Mamiya was not looking, she threw the food away and entered the room and brought out the calabash from under the bed. She said to it softly, "Pretty calabash, give me some food to eat." Immediately, the calabash was filled with beans, fried ripe plantains, and sardines. Efua was very happy, but as soon as she started eating, Mamiya entered the room unexpectedly. When she saw Efua with the food in the calabash, she asked impatiently, "Where did you get this food from?" Efua could not give her an answer, and Mamiya got very angry with her, saying at the top of her voice, "You are a thief! You stole my money to buy this food. I shall kill you today." "I didn't steal your money. It is this calabash that gave me the food," Efua explained to Mamiya. "You are a liar. I don't believe that a calabash can produce food for anyone to eat," said Mamiya angrily. "But if it is true, then let the calabash produce another food just now."
So another person from the
Efua spoke to the calabash softly. "Pretty calabash, give me some food to eat." Before Efua had finished saying these words, the calabash was filled with different kinds of delicious foods. Mamiya would not believe her eyes as she saw the calabash full of different kinds of food. She became jealous and wished to have the calabash for herself and prevent Efua from enjoying food from it. She snatched the calabash from Efua and shouted at the top of her voice to the calabash, "Hey, calabash, give me some food quickly." But there was nothing in the calabash. She shouted again, but still there was no food in the calabash. When she shouted the third time, the calabash still remained empty. She became very angry and said to Efua, "You are a liar. I shall break this calabash today. You will never get any food to eat from it again."
Okay. So another person from Glorious Friends.
The poor girl started crying and begging Mamiya, "Please, aunt, don't break the calabash. It was a gift from Mother Tortoise, whom I met in the forest when I went to cut firewood. Mother Tortoise told me never to break this calabash." But Mamiya refused to listen to her. She rushed outside and took a big stone to break the calabash. Efua followed her, begging her not to smash a pretty calabash. But still Mamiya did not listen. She quickly placed the calabash on another big stone and raised the stone in her hands to smash it. But she missed the calabash.
Okay, so can we have another person from Hampstead?
Suddenly, a huge tongue of fire shot out from the calabash and caught hold of Mamiya's cloth. She shouted in fear, screaming for help as the fire spread to all parts of her body. She started running, but everywhere she went, the fire followed her and burnt her. People came around to pour water on her, but the fire continued to burn her until she was reduced to ashes. Then the fire died out, leaving the calabash. After that day, the magic calabash lost its power and no longer produced food or anything for Ifua. However, Ifua did not suffer because a kind old woman took care and looked after her. She treated Ifua kindly and sent her to school. Ifua continued to be a hard-working girl as she had been. After some years, Ifua completed the university and became a very successful lawyer. She often defended the rights of the poor, especially orphans. She was later appointed by the government as a regional minister and was respected by all in her region.
All right, so that's a beautiful reading done by beautiful kids and then senior readers like yourselves this morning. But I'm sure it's not just about the story, but it's about the values and, you know, the essence, the story behind what we just read. Being cruel, being wicked to innocent people who may not have the opportunities therein if you are kind to people, especially at a time when Mother Tortoise had come and asked for food, and what she was going to give was what she gave to Mother Tortoise, which was, you know, some form of a temptation which had been given, and she passed. So there are lessons to be learned from these stories that we read. And so I'm sure around this time, we can go around the table and ask lessons we learned from the story. So again, Oswald, I'll come back to you. Lessons we learned from Ifua and the magic calabash.
Okay, so for me, as is right mentioned, of course, but once you're reading the story, you ask if Mother Tortoise had this magic element. Yeah. How come she had to go to for help? You get me? So that's to make us understand that, well, there are people who come our way not necessarily because they are in need of what they ask for, but it could be the gateway to our blessing. So people just want to check on our kindness. Of course, if you are not kind, you don't expect kindness in return. So that's one thing I picked. That yes, Mother Tortoise had a magic calabash somewhere, yet came to ask for help. You know, so that's what I picked from there.
Sandra.
Okay, so I'm going to do a bit on what Oswald just said from the point of Mother Tortoise meeting Ifua. So we know that Mother Tortoise had this calabash hiding in her heart, but then she had to turn to Ifua at that point in time. It also teaches us that no matter what you have, there might be a point in your life where you'll be in need. So no matter what you have or where you are, please be humble, because you never know when you're going to need the help of others.
Let me try and summarize that for you. You can have all the money in the world. Yeah. You can drive the Land Cruiser, but when your tire busts, you will need somebody who has not even 2 cities, 3 cities to help you fix your tire. Most of the rich folks don't even know how to remove their car tire. And so the lesson you just shared, in summary. Kezia.
Well, what I picked from the story was, irrespective of what you're going through, it doesn't hurt to be kind or to be nice. Mamiya was mistreating Ifua, obviously, but in the story, we didn't see her do anything bad or reciprocate or be disrespectful because she wasn't treated right. She kept to her values and stayed respectful to her, even though she wasn't being treated right. And at the end of the day, she got her payment. Someone else took care of her and raised her, and she became who she had to be.
Interesting. All right, so kids, we will start from my beautiful lady here, and then it will go like that. So immediately she's done, automatically we pick it from there. So what did you learn, my dear? Who has the mic? Who has the mic? So yes, I'll start with you. Yes, what did you learn?
I learned that we shouldn't be jealous of people's stuff, like Mamiya did about the calabash.
Okay. All right.
I learned all step aunties and stepmothers shouldn't be wicked to their
Okay, I can
other
hardly
cousins.
hear you. I can
All
hardly hear you.
stepmothers and aunties shouldn't be wicked to their aunties' children.
All right.
I learned that we should be good to others.
I learned that we should be humble and kind.
I learned that we shouldn't treat people bad.
I learned we should care for others.
I learned that we should be helpful.
I learned that we should be hardworking.
No,
Should be
right.
hardworking. All
Yep.
right. What did I learn? I learned that no situation is permanent. Tomorrow you may be a slave in somebody's house. The next day you'll be the lawyer defending the rights of individuals who have nobody to defend them. And so that's what I have learned. And we have 4 minutes to end our conversation. But I would address you as publishers and authors that I think that we should make a lot more effort to write. Because I don't remember the last time I heard Mamiya. I don't remember last time. We call ourselves by our
English
Christian
names.
names. Oh, Sami. Oh, Sandra. And since you sat here, I've just called you Sandra throughout. Kezia throughout.
But I'm
Also-
Mamiya.
Yes. You know.
Yeah.
But if I knew you, Mamiya, it cements something as to your origins, as to where you're coming from. It would require for me to ask, Mamiya, kwa ufe he? You understand? And that tells me much more about who you are than just mentioning Sandra and then it goes away. I'm hoping that we should have contextualized books like these that represent Ghana, that represents Africa, so that when you are reading it, you know that this is the connection is real because you know this. So just an encouragement to you, those who write and those who publish, that as much as support may not be there, as much as you may not get on the pedestal that you hoped, you'd get to within that short period, but continuity is key. Today, Nana Pedu is not here, but for me, I go on Spotify, I go on Deezer, and I download his music and I listen. And I was excited that in the absence of our books when it had not arrived, technology had allowed for all these to be online. And so our platform is yours. Anytime you're ready, just let us know to publicize your publications and everything so that we can help you put the Ghanaian story out there.
Okay, so to add, I think tomorrow we are going to climax this celebration. It's a partnership between Ghana Reads Initiative, World Reader Ghana, Global Media Alliance, Ajinsa, Pan-African Writers Association. So we're going to have a physical session, and then we're going to focus on books like this. I feel a lot of the children do not like reading, are not motivated to read because some of the books they read, they are unable to relate with. Because there are books that have come from far away and they are hearing snow, they are reading snow, Mount Everest, they cannot relate with. But if you have books like this, Tortoise, Mamiya, Efua, and almost all of that, they get opportunity to appreciate whatever they are reading. And so tomorrow, which is the 2nd of April, which is World International Children's Book Day proper, we are moving to Kolegono Community Library.
Okay.
And then we're having children from the community environs to have celebration. And then we are grateful to have the likes of Yom Vita, that care for children, coming in to refresh them. They are bringing the bicycles. So that brings me to some of the activities we are going to have. Tomorrow we are going to have activation about the World Reader. Like I mentioned, World Reader, I think when Kezia has the opportunity, she's going to mention.
Our time is
very
much
limited.
far spent.
Yes, it is a digital library that has almost all these books. And then we're going to have bounce and read. So Yom Vita is giving us a bouncy castle for the children to read and then bounce. We have read and play video game. We have blast the balloon to read. And then we have conversations and reading sessions tomorrow at Kolegono Community Library, starting from 10 a.m. to 1 noon in the afternoon. Yes.
Okay, so before we go, let me quickly say this. You mentioned the availability of search books. I just want to say that Adrensa has an array of search books. So please go to our website. It's www.adrensa.net. www.adrensa is ADWINSA. Adrensa. So www.adrensa.net. You find a lot of these books. Our catalogs are there. You just have to place an order, and then we are going to deliver it to you, especially the schools.
Okay. Kezia,
So what we do?
Is this your app?
Yes.
The one with the blue logo?
Yes,
This
that's
is
our
it.
app.
Okay. All right,
Yes.
that's fine.
So World Reader as well has a digital library of over 10,000 books. And what we do is we are in over 52 countries all over the world, and we source for relevant content in whatever context we are in. So in Ghana, we work with almost all the publishers. So if you go on our app, you would see local books that are relevant and within the Ghanaian context. Let me say the African context. So you'd find some Nigerian books for West Africa, you'd find West African books that are within our context that are relevant to the children here. And we do that because we want children to see a reflection of themselves in the books so they can identify with the characters, they can identify with the culture, they can learn a bit more about themselves and their environment through the books.
I'm grateful, Sandra, that you joined us this morning. Oswald, I'm grateful. Kezia, I'm grateful that you joined us. Kids, I am grateful that this morning you found space to come join us this morning on the show.